What's up? What's up? We're back again with my bestie from high school.
Aww.
I love her very much, and we out here in the rain in BH, and we about to talk some real shit. You know, some grown people shit.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Because we are grown ass people.
Yeah, we grown. We very grown, grown ass people.
Yeah, we are.
We're gonna have grown conversations. So yeah. So Lexi,
talk to me.
Tell them a little bit about yourself. And how do you know me and all that, and you know.
So Hussein and I go back to high school.
Yes.
He taught me how to crip walk.
Yes.
I still get a lot of street cred with the kids for knowing how to do that. And we go way back.
We go way back.
Yeah.
We go way back.
To our high school days. We're just reminiscing.
Yes.
Talking about where we're at in life now.
Mm-hmm. So where are you in life?
Oh, that's such a good question. So I'm actually trying to figure that out.
Okay.
And you're trying to help me with that.
Yes,
you know, you're here to like also.
Why are you trying to figure out which part of it you trying to figure? I mean, you got two beautiful kids, right? Yeah. And you have a ex-husband.
Yes. So I have two beautiful kids, two boys, 7 and 11. Not fully divorced, 7 months separated.
7 months separated.
Yeah, and I'm just like, you know, trying to navigate the dating world after being married for 15 years.
Wow. That's
dating
a long time.
Since I was 18, not to age myself, especially
since she was 18 and she's 25 now.
Since I like 29-year-old guys. Which is like part of what we're talking about here, you know? Like, what are you really looking for?
What are you looking for?
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to figure out here.
Yeah, in my opinion, I was just thinking that since you've been separated for 7 months, and you were married for almost 20 years. I mean, you were dating, then got married to the same person. I think, you know, going through that, I would think that you would need like a real break. You know, and actually when you go back in the dating scene, I don't think that you will have to jump into somebody that's gonna, you know, fill the space or the position that your husband used to be in. I think mostly you just need a fun, you know, somebody you could call and take to the movies, and somebody you could, you know, have sex with, you know, to get it out, you know, feel, you know, back to your normal. Then you could breathe a little bit, then actually be clear in mind to pick and choose who you want to be with for the rest of your life again. Right. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Yeah.
Like somehow, as we were talking about, I managed to find the one 29-year-old on the planet that doesn't want to have sex.
Yes, and that's not a good thing.
That's not what we're looking for.
Yeah, yeah. You don't want no 29-year-olds that.
We don't want no scrubs.
Yeah, we don't want no scrubs. But at this point, you could afford a scrub. Right. By
the way, I was willing. I was like, it's fine.
Yeah.
If you want to hang out, if you want to do fun things, if you want to hook up, I'm down. Yeah. I'll float you for a little while, you know, but
I think you found you a gay scrub. That's the problem.
You can be a scrub, but you need to be a straight scrub.
A straight scrub, you know?
Yeah.
Would know exactly what he needs to do. But a gay scrub will, you know, be patty, playing around.
Patty cake.
Yeah,
we don't need to do patty cake.
We don't need to do all of that. You know what I mean? We just need to be a straight shooter, go for it, you know. Yeah. Get what you can and everybody be happy, you know. Yeah. I always say, it's like a business deal. You give me what I want, and I give you what you want.
It's not just a business transaction. Relationships are not just a business transaction.
Well, it depends on what kind of relationship.
Well, I'm not looking for a business transaction.
Why don't you look for business? That means that you're trying to get emotional.
Well, maybe that's the problem. I don't really know how to separate those two things.
You need to.
So I think you need to take me back to school.
Yes.
And you're gonna have to teach me.
Yes, by teaching
how to Dougie.
Yeah, how to Dougie. Like I said, you just gotta go out and just grab it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Grab what you want, and do your thing, and just wash it out of your mouth. If you do that once or twice, I think you shoot all that away. Then you be back, because right now you need to get that out of your system. Yeah. Because right now you're so used to having the sensitive, you know, in relationship, because you've been in a relationship for 15-20 years. So getting and doing it, dugging and going out, you're like, oh man, this is kind of weird. This is not, you know, I need somebody, I'm getting affection, this and that and that. But you don't need that right now.
Well, can it be like a little bit of all of it? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
it could.
It doesn't need to be some crazy serious relationship, but somebody that wants to like hook up and hang out and have a good time.
Yeah, you could, but that's what I'm saying. But you gotta take all emotion and expectations out of it. And if you get that, that's okay. But when you go in thinking that, I need somebody that's at least, you know, be a little bit, there's a feel of that and that and that, then when you go in, you're gonna cry when you go in, because then you're gonna put all your emotions into that person, and they're not gonna be what you want, and you're gonna be sad.
Right.
But if you take it out before you go in, if it happened, oh great.
Right.
And if it doesn't happen, you're not so sad.
Well, what if you get super like emotionally attached, you know, and that person's not in that space?
That's what I'm talking about. So you shouldn't go in
until you figure it out if they're in that space or not. Once you get further into it.
No. You're all wrong. At this point,
yeah,
for at least maybe a year,
okay,
take emotions out of it, totally out of it, and work your way back after a year.
Okay.
For the first year, take your emotions out of it. Just go, handle your business, play for it. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, you know, you go back, you're good, go back to the drawing board.
When you say if it happens, if what happens?
If it happens that you get that person that you feel that's going to give you that emotional support and still be the fun person to be with and, you know, hook up and do all that stuff, that's cool. But you need to take it out of your mind that this is what you're going to gain from this person. Oh, you got to go in that you're not expecting anything.
Right. I agree with the no expectations, but I think they're just from a woman's perspective. Maybe some are different, but there just has to be some sort of comfort and connection to be able to be sexual with them.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be, I mean, there have to be even be attraction to be sexual with the person.
Right.
But I'm just saying that the comfort and expectation sometimes kick you in the ass because you go in thinking, I'm gonna get that comfort and expectation, and when you don't get it, you get so disappointed
like
that you're setting up, and actually the reverse happened. You're so fucked that it's hard for you even to get back into the dating scene.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened with this last situation. You know, like I just went in straight out of something with expectations, and then got so deep into it, and then realized like this is not what I'm looking for.
Because you, number one, like I said, you haven't dated for so long, and you probably didn't understand what it feels like to just randomly date somebody.
I didn't, or to like look for the red flags at the beginning, or to be like, these are the things I'm not down with, or this is like, you just don't know. You're also so vulnerable at the beginning that I think you're so scared to be alone, you kind of latch on to breadcrumbs, like anything that you can get at the beginning, because you're just like, oh my god, I'm alone for the first time in so many years. And I think the more comfortable you become with being alone, the more that you're just like, I'm not going to settle for what I don't want, and I don't need to find like the end all be all right this second, because I don't even want to get into that right now. But it's like you said, learning how to not have expectations and not attach so much emotion to it. And where am I finding these people, by the way?
I don't know.
Like the dating apps, or like, I mean, the worst.
The dating app, I don't believe in dating apps.
Because I think you need to meet someone and vibe out with them.
Yes.
You can't tell.
I think you just gotta put yourself out more. You know, as you have to just think as when you were young. Well, you didn't have that much time when you were young because you were stuck with for 20 years.
We're making up for a lot of last time, which is maybe why I'm like,
I think that's part of the
category.
Yes, that's part of the reason why you're going through the headaches that you're going through. And I think the best way for you, I mean, you're a beautiful young lady. You still look 20-something to me. I'm just being honest. And like I said, you come with value. You know, you're not a bum on the street. So that brings a lot of value, especially in these days.
I'm also not, like, I'm financially comfortable, so I don't really, I'm not looking for someone to just take care of me. Like, I'm looking for someone that I really vibe with.
vibe with.
Connection with.
Yeah, but ultimately, but right now, you're not looking.
No gay scrubs.
No gay scrubs, and you're not looking for anybody to fill in the space of your ex-husband.
Right. I don't even want anything that's serious to me. Sounds like
nightmare.
Gross, like nightmarish. Yeah. It's like I don't even want anything. I don't want to talk about bills. I don't want to talk about kids. I don't want to, you know, obviously someone that wants to like understand that I have kids, but just like not something that has to be so serious. I'm looking for just fun and like a lighthearted.
Let me ask you a
energy.
question. It's not off topic, but it's something. Do you think that it's harder for women that have kids to date men than men that have kids to date women?
It's a really interesting question. I haven't been in the game long enough, but from what I've found, I don't think that it pushes people away. I don't think people really.
You sure?
I don't know. I mean,
because I've had this conversation with a lot of ladies, and they're like, "Oh man, because I have kids, it's hard for me to date because you know I gotta put my kids away to go on a date, and sometimes I can't go on a date because I was like, oh, I have my kids." And the guys be like, "Oh man, this woman or this bitch got kids." And all of a sudden the text message starts slowing down, and you know, they don't want to hang out no more.
So I think it could go either way. I think because I have the kids half the time, I do have the half the time that like I don't have them and I can make plans. But what I do think makes it challenging is you meet people and it's like, well, you're like, oh, I can hang out in a week and a half. You know what I mean? And it's like, so the week and a half comes and you kind of like lose the vibe, or it makes it harder to just sort of flow. And I also noticed, but this might be because I've been like dipping in the younger generation. Maybe someone closer to my age would be different, but they don't plan the way that their jobs are. It feels like they're not so established where they can like make their hours or know that, hey, I'm going to show up at this time, or we can go to dinner at this time. Everything's sort of like non-committal, and I'm just going to go with the flow. And it's like when you have kids with you or even without you, like you want to make a plan.
Yes.
You know, and so I think it's harder to just flow when you have kids, for sure, because you're like, I'm going to be free next Tuesday. That's a week out. You know what I mean? So
but
in that regard,
yeah, but in that comparison with men, because I have kids.
Yeah.
So what do you think how it works for men? If a man is, let's say it's a single father, he has kids.
Yeah.
How does that work in the day? Do you think it would be much easier for the man, for a girl to accept a man with kids? Or do you think it's easier for a man to accept a woman with kids?
I think back to your initial question, it's probably easier for a woman to accept a man with kids.
Why is that?
Because I think, first of all, just from like an age perception, I think a man can have kids at any age, right?
Correct.
So like no matter what age range you're dating, a woman could be like, he could still have another kid if I wanted. So, and I think women are maternal and don't mind taking that on if they find a good man. Whereas I feel like if a man still has kids, or you know, has kids, I would probably need to find somebody that did have kids, I think, or was like, because I think for a man to want to take on the baggage of a woman and her kids and an ex-husband and all of that is like a much more of an undertaking for a man to take on than a woman, I think. And men are just weaker. They just can't handle as much, you know what I mean?
What do you mean can't handle it?
I think women are just stronger emotionally, actually. And I even see, sorry for all the woke people out there, but I even, you know, for raising two boys, I see that as tough as men portray themselves to be, there's a lot of emotion, there's a lot of weakness, and I think from a young age you're taught to not show that, but it's still there, and men are still very needy and very emotional, and it's like there's a reason women birth children. You know, I just think that, and again, as a woman, your clock's ticking too, so if you meet a man that still wants kids, you get to a certain age where like those people aren't an option for you anymore.
Got it.
Like, so it kind of rules out the category of getting serious with anyone that still wants kids or wants more kids even.
So basically,
So it's, I think, harder for a woman.
Harder for a woman that have a kids to date outside or date a man than the man that has kids.
Yeah, and I think in my head, long term, the only person that's gonna probably want to deal with me and the fact that not me, but the fact that I have 2 kids, is probably someone that has kids of their own. Gotcha. Maybe understands like
what it feels like.
Yeah, and doesn't want any more kids.
But on the woman's side, it's totally different because they, like you just said, they could have kids again with that man. The man could have kids with them.
Right. Like from their perception, they're like, well, we could see if it's a good man. I think good men are hard to find too. So it's like if they find a good man that can provide for them what they need, they're like, they can always have another kid if they want. So I think maybe they're more willing to take that on. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right. You hit the point. I think you gave a good point, you know, like you just said, and which hits my mind, saying about how men have more time to have kids, because women, if they already have kids, a man is like, shit, I'm gonna have a kid with this lady, she already have kids. It's a little bit different than, you know, a woman accepting a man that already have kids, because she's the one that's gonna, you know, have the kid, and she doesn't have it, you know. So
so basically, for me, it rules out anybody that still wants to have kids.
Yes. Do you still want to have kids? No.
And that's the thing.
That's the thing.
You know,
so,
I mean, if I fell madly in love with somebody and they were like dying to have a kid, maybe I would entertain it, but it would have to be like such a specific scenario. Ideally, I would love to never have another kid. I want to I don't want a baby. I want to live my life. Nice. Like my kids are starting to get older. And
how old is your kids?
2 baby daddies.
Yes, who does?
You know, you know what I'm saying. Yeah, One's plenty.
Yes.
7 and 11.
7 and 11.
Yeah. So they're starting to become a little more independent.
Did your ex-husband, your separate husband, ever talk about having more kids when you guys were together?
No, we were both on the same page of not wanting more kids. And I think he would, things change, but I don't think he ever wants to have any more kids.
He doesn't want to have any.
No. I don't think he wants another baby mama. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he definitely doesn't.
He's like, I'm just trying to work and take care of the kids when they're with me, and I don't really have time for anything else right now.
Yes.
He didn't really have time for a wife. You know? So I don't know. Maybe it's time for like a side piece.
Oh my God! Oh my God! When do you, in your 20 years, did you ever feel the need, as a woman, as a mother, at some point be like, oh man, I need a break. I want to get out of this space. I want to just go have dinner with some guy. Or
I did. I felt like that a lot, actually. And I think because I was so young when we met, and because I really missed out on this whole period of time where I, you know, would tell my kids, date, experience, explore, see what's out there. I think because I didn't have that, there was always this sense of wonder of like, what else is out there. And so I never acted on it, of course. But I definitely thought about like what would it be like, or, you know, to be able to have that experience.
And do you feel that because of that momentum, when you guys separated, you were so quick and so anxious to live that life, to understand that life?
I think so, and I think that's why I was pushing for a lot of things that weren't right, because I think that I was just so anxious. It's not as great as you think it is, by the way, because the grass is not always greener.
Yes,
but yeah, I think I was really anxious to be like, what is it like? What is out there? What is it like to be with somebody that's like new and fresh and get the butterflies in your stomach and feel super attracted to them? Because I hadn't really felt that way in my relationship for a long time. So I think I was definitely yearning for that.
So let me ask you once again, what's a happy relationship? What's a good relationship?
Such a hard question.
It's a hard question.
I think a relationship takes so much work, and I never think that it's an easy road. But if I had to say the one thing going forward that I think creates a good relationship is I think you have to have a mutual respect for each other. I think you have to know how to communicate. And like understand each other's love language, you know, because what makes you feel good or happy about yourself might not be what makes the other person feel that way. But I think respect and communication are key, and understanding that like you're gonna have an idea about something and I'm gonna have an idea about something, and neither one's necessarily right. But especially when you're raising kids together, that's a whole nother dynamic. But like, how can we meet in the middle, or how can we see each other's perspective? And I think it's just like being empathetic and listening to each other with love and empathy. And I was with somebody who was very triggered by everything and really triggered by my opinions about things, and really felt his way was the right way. So I think
collided with.
Yeah, that's not just my style. I'm a very like gray person. I'm not a black and white thinker. So for me, it's, I think, you know, that's what I would want going forward.
So, but you know, people always say that, oh, well, they've been married for this long, they've been married, so the relationship must have been great because they're able to survive this long and have two beautiful kids. What do you say to that? Because
I think it's not about longevity, because I think there's a ton of 98% of the people I know that are married are not that happy, which is sad to say. But I think people stay in it and they stick it out because they have kids together. So I don't think that just because they've been together for a long time it makes it a good marriage. But I think it goes back to what I said. I also think, you know, having the respect for each other, having good communication skills, and just laughing too. I think laughter and fun is so important. And I think if you have those things, then you'll also be sexually intimate with the person. I think you don't want to be in a sexless marriage either.
Yes.
But the thing
does sex play a big role in a longevity relationship or marriage?
I think it does. Like, I don't think you need to be doing it like 5 days a week, and I don't think you're going to be still getting butterflies in your stomach. But I think it's an important thing that should still be part of the relationship. And I think a lot of people lose that.
Why do you think they lose that?
I think it goes back to what I was initially saying. If you don't have the respect for each other, and you don't, I think for men it's different. Like, I don't know, men probably don't need to feel that connected to have sex with whoever they're with. But for a woman, she needs to feel heard, understood, like the person's treating her nicely, hearing her opinions, can communicate with her in a way that makes her feel safe. If she feels that way, she'll be open to being sexual. But like the second you don't feel that way as a woman, you shut down. So I think that's, a man needs to be really cognizant of that.
But don't you think that means that you have to consistently telling your partner, having that communication with your partner about those things and when it's happening? Because I think another trigger that might happen is that men might take it the wrong way, and you might think that, oh, well, she's acting this way, well, fuck it, I'm just gonna go get this young bitch and sleep with. Yeah.
I think you can't just go get that young bitch and sleep with her when you're in a serious relationship. I don't know where your head's at,
but I'm just saying.
But I think it goes back to what I was initially saying. It's the communication, right? So like then it's the woman being able to say, I didn't like you, because you're gonna fight, you're gonna argue, you're gonna do things that upset each other, but it's just talking about it along the way, like, and then working it out. I think it's conflict resolution. You can't just like keep letting these conflicts go and not say anything, and nobody talks about it. That's when the resentment builds, and then you're like, hey, I'm gonna go fuck another bitch, you know? So you talk about it along the way, you feel like the person heard you, and then you're like, okay, let's like move on from this, and now we're good.
Yeah. Let me ask you, so what if
I thought this was going to be so funny, and it's so serious.
It's good. It's some real serious shit. We need some serious shit in these days.
We really do, because everyone's just, you know, making it all a big fucking joke, and it's just not.
So what I'm thinking, what do you think?
Got some grades.
Yeah, I got some grades. You know, old man. What do you?
Old man.
Old man. You know, what do you think? I lost my thought.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Really?
Okay, so what? Yeah, what do you think should be the? What do you think? Okay, both of you need to pull out your cards, and both of you need to tell each other your needs, right?
Yeah. By the way, I love that you're asking me from the failed marriage.
it's
I
okay.
call all my friends. I'm like, let me tell you how to not ruin your marriage.
Yeah, but
okay?
the failed marriage is actually, it's a better experience than the winning marriage, because actually you know the faults of the bad thing not to do to stay consistent to be married, because the ones that everything is la la land, they don't really know the bad thing, and if the bad thing hits, they probably go crazy, and it's probably going on because they've been good of whatever they're doing, you know, they haven't seen any negative, but you've gone through the negative, so now you understand, like, hey, you know, this is the step, this is the failure I went through, so don't go through this, you know, pothole or whatnot. But like I say, do the partners need to tell each other their needs and want from the beginning for the relationship to stay, you know, like every once in a while you guys need to talk about, say, you know what, honey, you know, I need more of this, I need more of that, I need you to be more gentle with me on this one, I need you to, you know, once in a while smack my booty when you're walking by, you know, that makes me feel confident, that makes me feel good, that makes me want to do these things to you, or, you know, treat you like this or that.
Yes, I think that it's like constant communication and being able to say that to each other and not get defensive about it and say it in a nice way where you're just honoring each other's needs and being like having enough respect for each other that, like, okay, if this is what's going to make you feel good, I love you and care about you enough that I'm going to work on it. But when the respect dies and you don't like the other person anymore, or you don't, you know, then you stop wanting to work on those things, and then when you don't do it, that's when everything falls through the cracks. But I also think now, coming out of what I just came out of, I do think from the jump now there's things that would just be like non-negotiable for me, like things that I know I need, you know, like I know that I need someone who has a softer personality,
gentle,
you know, someone that's more gentle, someone that isn't as alpha and aggressive in that way in their communication style, because I would constantly say this communication style doesn't work for me. It doesn't make me feel sexual. It doesn't make me feel like I can be safe with you. It doesn't make me, you know, want to hear your ideas, even if I think they're good. And he just was who he was and couldn't change that about himself. And so I think going forward, I would know that that's not the kind of personality that would work with the kind of person I am.
Do you also think that people make the mistake of going in a relationship choosing the opposite, and the opposite is what turns them on?
Yeah, for sure.
And sometimes when you go in and you go further, you realize that this opposite is a piece of shit.
I think that we all have all of this like childhood trauma and all of these childhood wounds from our own parents, right, that we haven't worked out.
Correct.
And so especially when you're meeting someone at 18, like I was, you haven't worked that out yet. So yeah, you're picking like everything that now I'm saying that didn't work for me is what I was attracted to and looking for at that time. Because it was he's a little bit like my dad, you know, and I thought that like I wanted this alpha male that was gonna take care of everything and hold everything down. And so yeah, I think sometimes you do attract that, and then as you grow and you mature, you're like, whoa, that's not
what I wanted.
As I'm working my childhood stuff out, that's not really what works for me. It's not really what I want.
And as a woman, and telling all the women out there, from your experience, if any woman is in the marriage and getting this experience that you're feeling, what do you think, what do you suggest they do? Do you suggest they still be in the relationship and try and keep on trying, or did you find their peace and get out of the relationship?
I think that I never never, like, I think if you were in my situation that I was in, where you're really in something and you're like, this dynamic and this personality is never going to make me feel comfortable, and it's something that's not going to change, and you feel like you've exercised all your options. As painful as it's been and as hard as it's been to go from a full-time mom to only seeing my kids half the time, and to them crying when they leave, and all of the pain, and I'm still learning how to be alone, and I don't really know how to do it yet. I'm in the process, but I would still say,
no, I got your back.
Thanks, but I have Hussein.
Yes.
He has my back, and I have amazing friends.
Yes.
But I think I still have these moments where I'm like, at least now I have an opportunity of finding something, because I'm still, we're old, but I'm not that old.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I still have a chance at life, like a second half of my life that could be different,
Get
where
your
I
happiness.
could find someone that brings me what I wasn't getting before. And so I think, as scary and as hard as it is, I would say don't stay.
Don't stay. Look for your happiness.
Yeah, I think, like, get
Life
a
is too
second
short.
chance at life. Like, life is so short,
It
and
is. It is.
it's
It
so
is.
unknown, and you're like, am I going to meet anyone? Who knows? Like, but at the same time, to be with somebody or be in a situation where you're not feeling good about yourself, you just know. Like, I kind of got to this point where, like, I just felt it in my soul, where I was like, this is just not gonna work for me anymore. I don't want to be in this dynamic. So I would say jump.
Take the fuck off.
Because the longer you wait, it's just gonna keep haunting you and haunting you, and then you watch your life pass you by, and your kids leave.
Yes.
And like, they're not gonna be there forever.
Yes.
As hard as it's been on my kids are resilient, and they're adaptable.
Yes, very, very
And
adaptable.
At the end of the day, I think they should see parents that thrive, not parents who are together. And even if we didn't fight in front of them, there's still this sense that kids can feel the energy.
Correct.
And so, really hard, but I would say,
Find your happiness.
yeah. And I was so scared to do it because of the kids for so long. Like, I was like, I'm just gonna stay, literally, I was like, I'm just gonna stay miserable. Like, I live for my kids. I live and die for them. I brought them into this world. Like, it's my job to make sure that they have their two parents in one house. And, Michael was actually the one that left. And I think I was manifesting it. And I'm so happy that he did. Because I was so scared to take that jump and the leap of faith. Yeah.
And why do you think that he made the first move? Oh, he was unhappy. He was going through whatever you were going through at the same time.
I think he was going through a lot of his own stuff. And I just don't I think he was married to work. I think there were other things going on that he also couldn't quit to be the person that I needed him to be, and he knew that. And I'm, you feed off each other too.
Correct.
So I'm sure also, after years of feeling my unhappiness, that also from his perspective too, he's like, how long am I going to stay with someone who I really know isn't that happy with me? Because I'm not like a good faker. So, I think even though he was the one that made the move, it was being manifested.
Yes. So let me ask you, since you've gone through that process to educate us, after how long of marriage or being with somebody do you start feeling those feelings, or realizing, hey, if I'm really going to be with that person, or I'm going to wait?
Like, how long do you wait before you know?
Yeah.
I don't think it's a specific time frame for anyone. I think that, like, your mind and body just know when they know. And it's not like a one size fits all, I think.
But I mean, if you're with somebody, let's say you start getting married with the first, let's say 3 years, 5 years, and you still having a gut feeling, or things are not moving the directions that you feel that it's supposed to be, when do you start, like, having the thought process of thinking, hey, it's like, is this person really my person, or is this person is just there to, you know, be there? Is he really my soulmate? When do you start having that feeling to understand, to make that process? Because you said that you wish you made the decision earlier.
I think the second you know, to be honest.
Okay.
And I think that it doesn't change. And I think once you get that feeling where you're even questioning it, where you even are feeling like this is not right and this person is not capable of giving me what I feel like I need to feel safe in this relationship, it never changes. And looking back, I actually think I saw it a long, long time ago, and sort of just like being the young person that I was at the time. So Michael and I broke up.
Yeah.
And we were broken up for 3 years, and he would like send me flowers every day, and he really like hunted me back down. And I loved him as a friend, like I really did. He has so many wonderful, great qualities. The part of his personality and the reason I broke up with him in the first place never went away. And even though we had so many great years, and he was such a wonderful husband for like in so many other ways, and we have beautiful kids, the red flag that I saw at the beginning, which was the aggression and the communication style and the way that he talked, just never sat well with me. And so fast forward all these years, like he has his reasons, I'm sure, that we're not together, but for me that was really the main thing that ended up killing the marriage for me. So I just think if you see that red flag at the beginning,
run.
Yeah. Run,
Ladies,
don't walk.
Run.
And what's crazy is
and man too, run.
And what's crazy is here I am entertaining situations right now that like I know are not good for me and that I should exit from, and I see myself repeating old patterns. And so it's really like the work I'm trying to do now is to be like, I don't need anybody, I'm fine alone, I don't need to accept this. I don't need to be a part of this. Like I've been there, done that. But it's really hard because we also repeat old patterns. So
yes, that is hard. That is hard. But I think it's hard, but I think it's good too, because like you said, life is short, and it's better for you to know it now than wait till you're 50 years old.
Yeah, at least I still look young.
Yeah, you still look nice, still look sexy, you're a hot mama, you're doing your thing.
Yeah,
you got the, you know what I'm saying? All of that. And you are able to, you know, find your happiness however gradually, you know.
It feels gradual.
Yeah, I mean, everything has to be gradual.
Yeah.
If you force it, then the impact is an ass whooping sometimes.
It's so true, and you can't force anything either, you know.
So I think, I mean, and the best thing is, you know, you are in a good position financially.
I think that I always think about these moms that had to raise kids on their own, didn't have the financial means, they were out working. And it's interesting because the first question my kids actually asked me when they found Hudson, who's the older one, was like, Mom, are you gonna have to go back to work? And he was like really nervous. I think nervous about finances, but also nervous like, is that gonna take your time away from me, is more what he was nervous about. And I think about these moms, you have to go work, you can't really be there for your kids. You know, I can still pick them up, I can still do all the things. And so for that part, even though, listen, the struggle's always different, the pain's the same, I always say, because it's still a painful process.
Yes, it is.
But at the same time, I do think about these mothers, and I have so much respect for them. And I feel for the kids that really had to raise themselves because the moms couldn't be there. Like they had to put food on the table.
How are the mothers able to even go on dates?
No, they can't.
They can't, because you're working, and when you're not working, you have to take care of your kid.
Like the fact that we can even have a dating conversation is a luxury.
Yes.
Right?
For real.
Like that I can even be like, oh, on my days off I have that opportunity.
Yes.
Because most people are
this would have been your lunchtime.
Right.
Well, I got to get back to work.
Right. Or it would have been like running to school to check on the kids to bring them something and then like back to, if like you could even make it to school. So, and I hear so many stories and talk to so many people that were raised by single moms. The dads weren't around. Their moms didn't have the financial support. And so they were raised on the streets, or they were raised by, you know, whoever was around. And I do feel grateful for that.
Yes, thank God. And this jumps me to another question that comes to mind. Do you think also finance plays a role in a happy relationship?
So it's really interesting you say that.
Or a stable relationship?
It's so hard because the one thing that I've never had to worry about is that, and I've had so many other struggles in my family life and my marriage, and so, but I think
from what you've seen and I
think that if there's a financial struggle, then that's going to cause a different problem in a relationship, and like a lot of resentment from one of the, you know, I have one friend who, she's the breadwinner and she has a lot of resentment because of it, or like, you know, I just think, yes, I think finances can cause all sorts of problems in a relationship for sure, and then that adds a whole nother stressor and a whole nother struggle. So yeah, but then it's also like more money, more problems, because I watched that happen in my marriage. You know, someone who made it on his own, and I think that can also change your mentality, change your priorities a little bit. So, but yeah, I think money's always a thing and a stressor, and especially if you're gonna have kids and you want to provide for them,
provide and still be comfortable, be able to have a babysitter and be able to do stuff. Because if you're not financially stable, you're not going to be able to provide those needs and be free.
Right.
Because I say you have a job that you got to be to, and your kids at the same time, you still got to pick up your kids.
Right.
So you got to leave from lunchtime from work to pick up your kids to go drop them off somewhere, then go back to work.
Right. So even people I know with the like dual income, like the wives are so pissed that they have to work. You know what I mean? They're so mad at their husbands for it. So that is definitely another.
And when you get home,
stressor. And then by the way, when they get home, the last thing they're trying to do is talk to the husband. They're like, "Fuck you! I have to be at work all day. Like, cook your own fucking food." You know. So yeah, it breeds a lot of resentment.
Yeah.
And then they don't want to have sex because they're like, you can't provide for me. You know, there's specific situations where like it works in different ways, and if both people are okay with that. But again, it's like when you're getting into that marriage or whatever, like
make sure your finance is good. At least.
Or be like, I'm fine with working for the rest of my life, and I can make sure that you're okay with that. But I definitely don't think I know a lot of women that are like just down to marry for money, and like that's just, or were, and I'm like, I don't know, that would never make me happy. But
because you've never been poor.
I know, no, and it's so funny that you say that, because it's true.
Yeah.
So I don't understand, and I don't want to pretend to either, because I don't know what it's like. And it's, you know, Michael will always say to me also, like, he supports his family. He had to make it on his own. And he's like, I just like admire, like I kind of envy, not admire, I envy the fact that you've actually never had to think about it, because you went from like a financially comfortable family, and I worked and I hustled, but I was never paying my rent or putting food on the table.
Correct.
And then I went, and he made it for us. And he's like, so you just don't understand. You've never had to think about it. And it's true. It's something that I'm never going to pretend to understand or know the stressors of what it's like when you're trying to feed a family, and what kind of, and for Michael, I feel for what kind of pressure and stress
that comes with,
that's put on his mental state.
And especially being with somebody that actually never came from that and is comfortable as where they are, it puts more pressure on him.
Worse for him because he had it growing up, and then his parents lost everything when he was in college.
Exactly. So
it's better to never have it.
Yes.
You know, it's like once you sit in, there's this Seinfeld.
You already
like, once you fucking sit in first class, like you're not going back to coach. It's like the person who's never sat in first class should sit in coach. But he doesn't. He lost it, and so then I think that again it made it even worse. So yeah, I would never pretend to understand
So,
that. So marry for money.
Not marry for money.
But
make sure,
you want to make sure that's a part of the equation.
Yeah, at least both of you. If one of you is not fully strong, at least both of you is at least able to take care of each other, their own. You know what I mean? You're able to take care of your own, I'm able to take care of my own. If you can't take care of me and take care of yourself. But if you have one that can take care of themselves for shit, and you could only take care of your own, it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Because that means that this person have to work harder to take care of himself and take care of you.
Right. So you're saying,
like I said, you have to go in like a business. You have to know that, okay, what I can't do, I better find somebody that's capable of being able to do if I can't do it.
Right. Because you both have to be able to pick up the slack for the other person. That's another thing. It's give and take.
Give and take.
It's not a marriage, I don't think, ever. I think it was like Michelle Obama who said this, and I was watching, and she was like, it's just never 50-50. It's
never,
not.
Never.
Like, sometimes one person's at 70.
Yes.
Sometimes one person's at 20, you know, and it's about that person picking up the slack for their partner and knowing that it'll balance out at another time. Or for this amount of years, my husband needs to be out working, and I did that for Michael, and he's still grateful for that. But like, I gotta hold down the fort at home.
Yes.
You know, he had to be out working, so that was what he couldn't really be there to help me.
Yes.
He was traveling all the time, so I think it's like, and then hoping that it will balance out at the end. But like you said, picking up that slack for your partner and being okay with, like, it's not always going to be 50-50.
Never. It's never going to be 50.
Is.
Never
and
is 50-50.
Yeah, you know, it can come back around later on. I think kids, though, in general, just like add a whole dynamic. I would tell the younger generation, like, don't have them.
Don't have no kids.
Just find yourself a nice partner, make money, travel, live your best life. Like, I don't know, it's a fucked up world. Technology, that's a whole nother. That's for another podcast.
Do you think that you married too early?
So I don't think I was too young when I got married. I was in my late 20s.
Okay.
But I think that I didn't take the time before then to explore and experience and really figure out what I wanted, because I think even then I was scared of being alone. And what's interesting is the same, back to my original point with any young people listening, but deal with what you're scared of, because if you don't deal with it, it's going to come back to haunt you later on. And I was so scared of being alone then, and that I wasn't going to find anybody, and like I sort of went back to what was familiar to me when Michael came back, because I was like, he loves me and he's going to take care of me. And again, I loved him, he's a great person, but I just, now I am at 43 relearning how to be alone. And it's like, if I would have learned that lesson in my early 20s and explored it then, so it's like you can't skip steps in life. It's always going to come back to haunt you. The red flags, they're going to come back if you see them. Everything you try to ignore is going to come back. That not feeling comfortable being alone, you're going to get, like, now it's hitting me now, I have to learn. So you really can't skip any lessons along the way, because they're just going to keep repeating themselves.
Okay, we're going to take this call because it's
we got the nurse calling. We got to see what it's a big red flag.
Hello?
Of red flags.
Hi, Hussein, did you get the message that they want you to come into the school?
No, I didn't. What happened now?
Yeah, I don't know, but they need you to come in as soon as you can.
I'm outside.
Okay, if you could come in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
You want me to wait in the car? Or you want me to come? Yeah.
Do you want to come?
If you want me to. Is she going to be like, who is this
No,
person?
she don't.
Or she's chill like that?
She's chill like that, but she just, I don't know what I'm going to walk into.
By the way, I've seen it all.
You've seen it all?
Yeah. Oh my God, I picked up Aiden once because he kicked someone out in the yard. Like Hudson one time, he cussed in class and was having, I don't know. I've seen every. When you have your own. See, this is another thing about, like, when you have your own kids, you understand. Like, if I walk in and she's having a full-blown meltdown and screaming, and like, it wouldn't even faze me.
Because you understand.
But if you haven't been through it, you're like, what is this? You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Is you made the point. Yeah.
We need that on the podcast.
Yeah, we definitely do. Yeah. Here again,
which is why ultimately I would probably vibe the best long term with somebody who has their own kids.
Yeah.
Or like, I don't know, maybe if they're down to help you with life. But still, if you don't have them, you don't get it.
You won't. You would never get it.
You just don't. It's just like I'll never understand what it's like to put food on the table.
True.